Guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from the new Alex Syberia Designs release. I'm going to be using the Pretty Bows, the Winter Foliage, and then the Be Merry die set, as well as the hot foil plates, and then this elegant stripe hot foil plate. You can totally make these cards if you don't hot foil. You could just do it with a different stripe background. But because foiling isn't something that is like I don't mind it, but it's not my favorite part of the process, I'm going to do it first. I love the way it looks. I just don't necessarily love the process of it. Probably because I'm still learning, so it's still sometimes a little bit of a struggle for me. So for the first background, I'm just going to use the foil plate exactly the way that is intended, just as a full background stripe. And with that, I am using the champagne colored foil from Spellbinders. And this is like it's like a light gold. Does that make sense? It's gold, but it's not as yellow, like a pale gold. But anywho, so I set it on there and let it heat up. And then once it was done, went ahead and ran it through my Platinum 6. And this one did move on me just a smidge, but I didn't tape it, so that's kind of on me. It wasn't really a big deal because I typically trim my backgrounds down and then mat them. So that's what I did, and I had more than enough. So for this next one, I am going to tape it. The reason that I don't tape all of them is honestly because I get very confused about the order. So here I am setting it up as if I was setting it up on the plate. And then I'm going to flip it over so I know the order that everything is supposed to go. So plate first, foil, shiny side down, and then the paper. Then I'm going to flip everything over so that I can tape it and then slide my foil in. I don't know why my brain cannot grasp the concept of the two, but it just cannot. So in order to tape it, I'm just going to take a small piece of, I think this is masking tape, and I'm going to tape my paper to my plate and create a hinge, and then I can slide my foil in between the two, just like I would do on the plate, except this time now nothing's going to slide around. What was I going to say? The hinge method, I'm not sure why it's so difficult for me. And then you'll even see when I did the sentiments, I didn't tape them either. I don't know why I don't like taping things, but I don't. And so I just kind of do it and hope for the best. So here I let it sit its appropriate amount of time and then went ahead and ran it through. And I did get a much better result, which you'll see here in the reveal where it didn't move around because we had the hinge. I don't know why. I don't know why it feels like such an extra step to tape things, but it's really not. I don't know why my brain thinks that it is. So here, I'm going to go ahead and remove it. I did get a much better result, but for this one, instead of leaving it just a stripe, I decided I was going to do like a little bit of a plaid. So I'm going to turn the plate on its side so it's landscape, and this isn't going to give me a full background, but it's okay. I don't need one for the card design I have planned. So now I'm going to do the same thing to create my hinge, and the paper I'm using is Spellbinders specialty paper for the glimmer foiling, because I wasn't doing any Copic coloring. I switch it up when I do Copic coloring on my backgrounds because I don't like the way this paper necessarily colors with alcohol markers. But so now same thing. But I don't know if you knew. Did you know you could foil on top of foil and it won't mess up your foil? You can. And so now I'm just going to go in and do a second layer of foil once I get this where I want it to be. Again, use your timer with the appropriate amount of time. And then now, instead of having just your diagonal stripe, which I love, we're going to also have this little like plaid. So it just gives you a little bit more mileage out of your plate. These sentiments, there is a die set as well. So if you don't foil but love the sentiments, you can just get the die set. There is a word and then a shadow. The shadow you use to cut out the foiled sentiments as well as the word dies. but yeah, so if you don't foil, you can get those as well. This, let's talk about. I like jumped right into the foiling, and I didn't even talk about what the video's about. It's for part of a video hop, yay! Which means there's prizes to be won. Alex Syberia Designs is generously giving away 3 gift cards. It's open until the 23rd of July, and then they'll announce their winners over on their blog, I believe. Here, I've picked out some glitter cardstocks, some mirror cardstocks that I'm going to be doing all of my die cutting out of. I am going to spare you the die cutting, which took me 1 million years. You can see how full my cup is. At the end of the day, I didn't end up using the green mirror cardstock or the... Did I use? No, I think I used everything else, at least a little bit. But I decided as I was putting them together that I would really like a colored touch. So you may have noticed from the title of the video, like, how do you use these? How do you use these foliage sets, these leaf sets, these, because I think oftentimes they are overlooked because they're not as exciting as like a floral. But dude, they are so good for adding. They can be their own focal point, which is what they are in today's cards. But they can just add so much to other dies that you have or other stamps that you have. I have another video that I did a month or so ago with a different Alex Syberia Designs, and I combined the I think it's the everyday foliage with a stamped image to help make the image larger, and I cut them out of vellum, and it worked great. So while I know that these styles might not necessarily be what you're like drawn to because it isn't a big, bold, beautiful, like for example, their poinsettia that they just came out with, stunning. It's a stunner. And I have it, and I fully intend to use it. I fully intend to use it and color that baby up. And so I can see why they are overlooked, but they are such a good, just staple thing to have. Because not only can you make cards like the ones we're making today, where we're using them, but if I'm guest designing for a company, I almost always look for any sort of foliage die or stamp set that they have because they're so versatile. Like, they're just so versatile. There, some of the other girls who... either, I can't remember if they're on the design team or if they're guest designing for this particular release, this Christmas in July release, used these to make a wreath beautiful. There's just like a ton of things that you can do with them. One of them used them to do, it's not a 3D embossing folder, but it gives the look of a 3D embossing folder. Brilliant. Love that. So yeah, just a ton of things that you can do with these. Today we're going to concentrate on using them as a focal point. So the first thing that we're going to do outside of building the berries up, and I did use both the red glitter and the red mirror cardstock. I used a combination of them. I thought that they were, I don't know, I liked them both, so I couldn't really make a choice. Plus, I had already cut them out, and honestly, I didn't want to have to cut them out of all of one of them. You guys know how I feel about die cutting. It's not a secret. So here we're going to make like a little mistletoe kind of style of hanging, like a winter greenery decor item. And so I'm using some of the pieces from the everyday greenery to fill in the background. Then I've picked out a couple of pieces cut with the winter foliage that are cut out of white glitter cardstock. And this is just going to help make it fuller and provide a little bit of contrast in a couple of layers. And then these other ones that we have colored up, I am going to put them in the forefront, and then I'm going to add the bow. Those little bows so sweet. I'm going to add a bow and then a couple of berries. And this is going to be enough to kind of carry our card design because you have those, first of all, red and green are complementary colors. And so they play really nicely together. They're more of a bold look, and it is definitely these are more traditional Christmas cards, or holiday cards, however you want to view it. But yeah, so I stuck with something that was really traditional because that was kind of where the products led me. But I did see somebody had done the poinsettia in like a hot pink, and man, I love that. So you could totally switch these up. You could definitely do the berries in like white and maybe do your foliage in like some blue greens. That would be stunning. I also played around with maybe doing a navy. You guys know I love blue. I love blue. So yeah, just tons of things that you can do. What else has been happening? So Peanut is almost, if you've watched my channel, you know that he's been on vacation with his dad, and so he hasn't been home. I miss him terribly, but we're one day away now from him coming home, and I'm very, very excited about it. The other thing is we're actually gonna go. We went on a date night. I'll save the whole story of date night for another night or another video. But yeah, we went on a date night, so that was good. And then tonight, actually, all of us, like all my friends from high school, we're all turning 40 this year. And so there's just a lot of parties. So one of them, my friend Andrew, who I have known since we were in middle school together. Ugh, so that means through the awkward years, you know what I'm saying. So his 40th birthday the party is tonight. And he normally, I'm going to be honest, I don't hang out with very few people I was friends with in high school. It just, you grow up, you move up on, you grow apart, that whole thing. Like I have my two best friends, one from my childhood and one from high school, who I still see and talk to all the time. But everybody else is just kind of, this sporadic, if you run into them kind of thing. And so he texted me. I've had the same phone number since I was 17 for heaven's sake. It's literally anybody who knew me when I was a teenager could text me and get a hold of me. I might be like, new phone, who dis? But it would be my phone number. But so he did. He sent me like 2 or 3 text messages and was like, hey, it's been a really long time. Would really like to see you. So Eric and I are going to try to go. And then he's going to have to hear all these stories about the person I was in high school, who I am not anymore. So that will be, I'm sure, equally as enjoyable for him as it will be horrifying for me, in equal parts. So now that the first card is put together here, I wanted to do kind of like a split design. So I created this little bar belly band type look to go in the middle. And now I am just going to start stacking greenery. This is so easy. This is such an easy way to get a good balanced design. And you notice when I put the foam tape on the band, I made sure to leave a gap on both edges. And that's so that I'm sure I'll be able to tuck the ends underneath. So I did kind of like a layer of gold in the background. Now this is the gold foil background, or the champagne, the pale gold. And then the mirror cardstock I'm using is from Concord 9th. And so it is, it's like a brushed gold. It's not as yellow. So they match pretty nicely together. And then once I have everything just kind of laid out where I want it, then I'm going to go in and start gluing. First things first, I glued my sentiment to this little band. And I will say, this is something that I noticed. This specialty cardstock with liquid glue, you do have to kind of like hold it there for a second. It doesn't dry as fast as it does on regular cardstock. Now, because I don't want to rearrange all of these little greeneries, here's how I'm going to do it. I start with the smallest item, which for me is these little berry leaves. I glue it down to one of the leaves. I add glue to this leaf, and then I put it in. Now, I don't press it down on the empty cardstock parts, but I do press it down on the other leaves. Now, those are stuck to each other, and I can pick up that whole bunch and glue down that whole bunch at one time. This is just a nice kind of easy way, because the press and seal here, because I have that band in place already, isn't really going to work for me. Now, these other 3 pieces, I'm just going to glue themselves, just tuck in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the top portion. You may notice that we have kind of like 4 equal parts of these berries, which I didn't really love in the design. So I am going to go in with some of the extra berries and just sporadically add them to what we have going on here, just to fill it out nicely. And so it doesn't look like, you know, 1 berry, 2 berries, 3 berries, 4 berries in like this weird little square thing we've got going on. So yeah, so we're going to go to this party tonight. It will be interesting to see everybody I haven't seen, and probably, I'm not even kidding you, because now with Facebook and everything, people don't even do high school reunions. So we didn't have like a 20-year or whatever it's been, however long I've been out of school. I think it's 20. It's over 20, but not yet 25. So yeah, that'll be fun. So anywho, you're going to want to check out the information below to hop along to the next video hop. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.